Hi, my name is Monique. I serve as a spokesperson for Nehemiah Reset. Today I want to explore suspected fraud that occurred in the state of Minnesota in the recent 2024 election for president and state offices. The integrity of the electoral process is a cornerstone of democracy, ensuring that the will of the people is accurately represented through fair and transparent elections. However, voter fraud poses a significant threat to this fundamental principle, undermining the credibility of the electoral system and public trust in democracy. In the recent 2024 presidential state elections in Minnesota, disturbing instances of voter fraud supposedly have been uncovered, particularly within the Muslim community. This raises questions about the legitimacy of the results and the role of Representative Ilhan Omar in perpetuating this fraud. In this video, we will investigate and document the voter fraud incidents that occurred in Minnesota during the 2024 elections, with a focus on the fraud uncovered within the Muslim community. By examining specific instances of fraud, including locations, individuals involved, and methods used, we aim to shed light on this complex issue and its implications for the electoral process and democratic integrity. Minnesota has a long history of voter fraud, with incidents reported in previous elections across the state. Voter fraud can take various forms, including impersonation, double voting, absentee ballot fraud, and ineligible voting by non-citizens or convicted felons. These fraudulent activities can have a significant impact on election outcomes, potentially altering the results and undermining the democratic process. In the 2024 elections, voter fraud in Minnesota came under scrutiny, particularly within the Muslim community. With a growing population of Muslim voters in the state, concerns were raised about the manipulation of the electoral process to advance political agendas and influence election results. Representative Ilhan Omar, a prominent figure in the Muslim community and a controversial political figure, has been linked to allegations of voter fraud in Minnesota, raising questions about her involvement in these illicit activities. What were some specific instances of voter fraud in Minnesota in the 2024 election? 1. Ballot harvesting in Minneapolis. One of the most concerning instances of voter fraud in Minnesota occurred through ballot harvesting in Minneapolis, where individuals collected and submitted large numbers of absentee ballots on behalf of voters. Ballot harvesting is a practice that allows individuals to collect and return multiple absentee ballots, potentially leading to fraud and coercion of voters. In the 2024 elections, reports emerged of individuals affiliated with Representative Ilhan Omar's campaign engaging in ballot harvesting in Muslim-majority neighborhoods in Minneapolis. Witnesses provided accounts of individuals going door to door to collect absentee ballots from residents, many of whom were elderly or vulnerable voters. These ballots were then submitted en masse, raising suspicions of voter coercion and manipulation in favor of certain candidates, including Representative Omar. Eyewitness testimonies and official reports documented the presence of campaign workers and volunteers associated with Representative Omar's campaign engaging in ballot harvesting activities, which violated state election laws and raised concerns about the integrity of the electoral process. The extent of fraud and its impact on election results remains a subject of ongoing investigation and legal scrutiny. 2. Voter registration fraud in St. Cloud. Another troubling instance of voter fraud in Minnesota took place in St. Cloud, where voter registration fraud was uncovered within the Muslim community. In the lead-up to the 2024 elections, reports surfaced of individuals registering to vote using false identities or addresses, potentially inflating voter rolls and enabling illegal voting practices. Investigators found evidence of voter registration fraud orchestrated by a group of individuals with ties to Representative Ilhan Omar, who allegedly sought to boost voter turnout in Muslim-majority areas through illicit means. The individuals involved in the fraud used forged documents and deceptive practices to register ineligible voters, including non-citizens and individuals with criminal backgrounds, in an effort to manipulate election outcomes in favor of certain candidates. The discovery of voter registration fraud in St. Cloud raises concerns about the vulnerability of the electoral system to manipulation and abuse, highlighting the need for more stringent measures to safeguard the integrity of elections and prevent fraudulent activities. The involvement of individuals linked to Representative Omar in these illicit practices has cast a shadow over the credibility of the 2024 elections in Minnesota and is prompting calls for thorough investigations and accountability. So, what are the implications of voter fraud on democratic integrity? The prevalence of voter fraud in Minnesota during the 2024 elections has significant implications for democratic integrity and the credibility of the electoral process. Voter fraud undermines the principles of democracy by distorting election outcomes, disenfranchising legitimate voters, and eroding public trust in the electoral system. The cases of voter fraud uncovered in Minnesota, particularly within the Muslim community and involving Representative Ilhan Omar, raise serious concerns about the fairness and transparency of the electoral process. The manipulation of absentee ballots through ballot harvesting and voter registration fraud through deceptive practices not only subvert the will of the people but also undermine the legitimacy of elected officials and institutions. To address the challenges posed by voter fraud, it is imperative to strengthen election laws, enhance voter identification measures, and implement robust oversight mechanisms to prevent and detect fraudulent activities. Transparency, accountability, and integrity are essential components of a healthy democracy, ensuring that elections reflect the genuine voices and choices of the electorate. In conclusion, the voter fraud incidents that occurred during the 2024 elections in Minnesota, particularly within the Muslim community and involving Representative Ilhan Omar, underscore the urgent need to address the vulnerabilities and risks associated with fraudulent activities in the electoral process. By investigating specific instances of fraud, documenting the methods used, and analyzing the implications for democratic integrity, we hope to raise awareness and provoke action to safeguard the sanctity of elections and uphold the principles of democracy. The cases of voter fraud in Minnesota serve as a wake-up call for policymakers, law enforcement authorities, and the public to remain vigilant against attempts to subvert the electoral process and manipulate election outcomes for personal or political gain. By holding perpetrators of voter fraud accountable, strengthening election safeguards, and promoting transparency and fairness in elections, we can hope that the voices of the people are heard and respected, preserving the essence of democracy and upholding the values of justice and equality for all. I plan to continue to watch this investigation of voter fraud and make sure the public is aware of what happened in the 2024 election cycle. We hope to encourage the Trump administration to look into areas where voter fraud could have occurred. If you have any information about voter fraud in the 2024 election, let the FBI know what occurred. We hope to prevent any voter fraud from reoccurring in the 2026 midterm elections. In order to do this, it will take all of us to be on the alert for possible voter fraud ideas. To learn more about cultural issues in Minnesota, go to our website at nehemiahreset.org or to our rumble.com channel. We produce videos every week on different biblical and cultural issues. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.
Are you looking for a limitless supply of insightful reads to expand your mind and transform your life? Look no further than Nehemiah Reset's ebook library, where knowledge meets inspiration at nehemiahreset.org/ebook. Go there today to discover a wealth of valuable resources to help you on your personal and professional journey to build a biblical worldview. Learn more about the Bible and how culture is impacting your worldview. Again, that the ebook library is located at nehemiahreset.org/ebook. Hope to see you soon. My name is Mark. I am one of the spokespersons for Nehemiah Reset. The prior video was sponsored by Nehemiah Reset, a 501c3. Our mission is to assist Christians in developing a biblical worldview as it pertains to relevant cultural and biblical issues. We seek to inform Christ's followers, equip them, and mobilize them into action to vote for their biblical values and to actively engage in our culture. We are also committed to help Christians and non-believers to develop a better biblical view. Nehemiah Reset produces videos and ebooks to assist members of the church in developing a biblical worldview when it comes to cultural issues. We produce videos on key topics like public school indoctrination, the woke agenda, sex education, equity and inclusion, climate change, immigration, religious freedom, and much, much more. To learn more about Nehemiah Reset or to watch our latest videos, go to our website at nehemiahreset.org or our rumble.com channel. We produce 2 to 3 videos every week. To get a weekly list of our latest videos, sign up for our weekly newsletter by going to nehemiahreset.org/email and subscribe. You can support our website by liking our videos, subscribing to our channels, or helping us reach more people through tax-exempt donations. Thanks for your help in growing God's kingdom and bringing more people to Christ. Thank you for your support and help. Come back again soon. Have a great day.